I want to get one for all the shows, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. First episode of the year. I took a little bit of a personal leave to try and get a couple things in order. I've had some pretty unique life changes as recently, and got a new job, doing different things. So it's been a tad bit overwhelming, but it's good, and I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to have you as my first guest because,
thank you.
You know, we can hit on some pretty fun stuff.
Yeah.
So we were just talking before, though, that you just recently got off of like a COVID quarantine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, one of my roommates tested positive, and thank God my work was really willing to just let me work from home, even though technically my entire job is literally to be there in the office.
Oh.
But I think they were like, it's precious. They were worried about me being able to make money. So they were like, oh, just work remotely. And then just kind of like team viewed me to my computer.
Oh,
so then I
cool.
could do some like computer work and stuff like that. And just would do that. And then get paid for my entire time, which was really nice.
That is really nice.
Yeah. But it was honestly a really great time because me and Holly, if you guys don't know, the Holly Cast mess around. Shouts out. We usually go live every Monday, usually around 7. Give us a follow.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice because then we were able to stream a little more, put out a little more content because we were just kind of stuck in the house together. We started to go a little crazy though because it was like a bunch of just us being shut in, already 2 wackadoos. I don't know. We communicate with just noises now, basically. It was actually yesterday. She like crawled out of her room, basically was like, and I was like,
Well, I saw that you guys did like a sea shanty night.
Do you want to hear the funniest story?
Yes.
I already told this in this room, but I'm gonna tell it here. So. Basically, we had been quarantined for an entire week by this point, and we're like, we haven't even day drank.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, crazy. That should have been day one.
Exactly. That's what we should have been doing it from the start. So we're like, all right, you know what? She busts out her whiskey. We also have another bottle of whiskey. We have some lemonade. We're mixing all this together. We're drinking. Holly and I do this thing where we used to, especially in high school, we had a lot of guy friends who would just drink beer.
Yeah.
And to be able to make ourselves drink the beer, we would have to play a game. But we didn't have any games or anything to play, so we would do rock, paper, scissors, and whoever lost had to drink.
Okay.
So we were like, we made our drinks really strong, and we're like, whew. And then we're like, let's play a game.
Right.
And so we get out the cards and everything, and we start playing Egyptian Rat. Well, I taught her to play Egyptian Rat Screw.
Yeah.
And so we're playing that, and we were drinking, and then we're like, let's put on some sea shanties.
Sea shanties are the best.
Exactly. We started out with the Assassin's Creed, sea shanties, and then we moved on to my playlist that I have. Well, it's not mine specifically, but I have it saved. It's called Sea Shanties for Thoughts.
I love out of nowhere that the sea shanty thing is like just happening now.
It's fantastic.
Oh, it's the best.
It's fulfilling my dream of being a pirate.
Yeah.
You know, which I've probably talked about multiple times.
Yes.
And amazing. It is what I have been meant to do. And so we were like, this is fantastic. I look at her and I'm like, you know what would make this better? And she looks at me and she goes, oh, I know. And then we go and get in pirate garb.
Perfect.
So we're wearing corsets, we're wearing the billowy shirts, we're wearing some booty shorts, looking fly. Aiden walks in, our other roommate.
Right.
He walks in and he's like, whoa, what are you guys doing? And we're like, get in your pirate outfit, bitch. And he goes, okay. Dresses like a pirate, joins us. We're all playing cards. We're getting drunk. And it's just a great time. We're laughing. We're singing along to the sea shanties. It's like we're really on a boat.
Oh,
you know, I was getting my sea legs. And, and then Holly's like, I gotta go take a piss. She goes to the bathroom, and I hear a knock at the door. And that's when I realized that we forgot one big thing of business that day.
Oh, no.
Aiden answers the door. It's Holly's boss.
Okay.
I go, oh, fuck. Immediately when I hear him go, hey, is Holly here? I'm like, I book it immediately so he doesn't see me dressed like a pirate's whore. And then run to the bathroom, and I knock on the door. Holly, midstream, stops and goes, what? And I go, your boss is here. And she goes, oh no. Because she's the drunkest out of all of us. Like,
oh,
Kim
no.
barely walks sort of drunk. Like, drunk. And she then books it out of the bathroom, clothes half off. She's like ripping them off, basically, bolts to her room, and slams the door. And I just hear Aiden go, you can come in if you want to.
Oh, no.
And so I just hear him talking to Holly's boss. Aiden is, I don't know why. And I'm standing in the shadows in the corridor, just listening. Like, I can't walk out like this and just like introduce myself.
Oh,
also, because it's a COVID household. Why did he come in the first place?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I didn't even think
right?
about that. Yeah.
He's one of those guys who doesn't believe in COVID, sort of.
Oh, well, you know.
So we're like, well, I mean, you know, it comes at the weakest of us.
Yeah.
So, then Holly comes out in like her sweatpants and everything, and is like, oh, hi. And he's like, hi. And they're standing in the middle of our cards strewn about. There's sea shanties playing in the background.
Oh my
and there's
God.
liquor bottles everywhere. And she's like, hi. I usher Aiden over, and I'm like, we're going downstairs. We go downstairs. Apparently, her boss stayed for a while, like, to talk to her about, like, what she was going to be doing for work and everything, which we were kind of like, sus.
Yeah, a little sus.
Yeah, we're like, this is a little sus. But she runs downstairs, and she's like, first of all, why would you ask him to come inside?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, Aiden was like, I felt like I needed to be a good host.
Oh.
It was an automatic.
Nice of them.
Yeah, automatic thing. And then Holly's like, and also she holds up a notepad with just like scribbles. She's like, this is what I'm supposed to do tomorrow. I have no idea what this is.
Oh no.
Because she was so drunk when he was telling her. She was just scribbling it down. And it didn't make any sense. And she's like, well, I guess I'll figure out in the morning.
Did you guys go back to sea shanty?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, perfect.
Immediately, I was like, all right, get back in your outfit. Enough wallowing.
You did
that
a
was
TikTok,
hilarious.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your TikTok handle so people can find it?
Oh my god. Butt plugging?
Oh, yeah. What's that? Butt plugging?
I forget every time. And then when it comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, oh, by the way.
God, I would love for that to be like a work party, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, does everyone have TikTok?" And they get to you and they're like, boot plugging.
Boot plugging. It's exactly how it sounds. BUTTPLUGGING.
Yeah, butt plugging.
Definition, please.
Urban Dictionary. But yeah, so we have a topic.
Yes.
That I wanted to cover, and this kind of goes for to give it like a little bit of backstory. I had a guest on who our main focus was, and this is a full shift from sea shanties.
Yeah, sea shanties.
Yeah, full reversal. I had a guest on episode 3 or 4 ago where we talked about living in Utah, specifically the LDS Church. He used to be a member, returned missionary. He left, and he kind of told his story, and it got a lot of positive feedback. And in no way, just to get this out of the way for those who are listening who are LDS, it's not bashing the church.
No.
These are just personal stories of like why individuals chose to leave, whether it's positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's people who left and it ended up being a negative in their life. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've left and it's been a positive in their life.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought of you, because I know that you grew up here in Utah, which I'm curious. I have questions about like elementary and like junior high, because I know that like it's such an interesting differences from people who were LDS versus those who weren't.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually you're now out of the church.
Mm-hmm.
What age did you decide to?
I basically, well, so it's kind of a story. I told my mom, who was kind of like the influential religious person in the household mostly, who was like the most religious person today, that I didn't want to be a part of the church anymore and all that stuff when I was about 15, 16. But I was made to go to church up until I was about 17, until she kind of finally got the idea that I was not going to go.
Right.
Because eventually I just kind of played sick for so many Sundays of my life that she's like, I told her more around kind of 14, 15, because I remember it was basically 2 years where she still made me go. Yeah. Basically. And it was kind of like the rule, as long as you're living under my roof, you have to go to church. Sure. You know? And I was like, I have no other choice. Where do you want me to live?
So before getting to the, like, what made you really decide, I'm curious what it was for you, like was your household, because, like, through certain means, I kind of know how your dad operates. Yeah. We won't get into that, but there's things. Yeah. And I didn't, after meeting him, I guess it was hard for me to picture him also being a part of the church. Yeah. Not because he's a bad guy or anything, but he's much more adventurous than your atypical Latter-day Saint member. Oh, so yeah. I was kind of like, okay, so like do you consider your house to have been kind of like not a normal LDS upbringing, or was it pretty standard, do you think?
It was standard for a bit. Oh, I don't know, because the thing is standard as an LDS is kind of like... Yeah. It's kind of a weird line, because there's like really strict LDS and then kind of like loosely LDS, you know? But my mom, for the very beginning, especially when we were living in North Salt Lake, super strict. Weren't allowed to listen to anything but gospel music, sort of strict. Oh, wow. And I could only watch certain movies. I was not allowed to read Twilight. I still haven't read Twilight. And different stuff like that. I remember telling my mom recently, I was like, you didn't let me read Twilight. And she just laughs and goes, what? I didn't? And then she's like, yeah, that sounds like me.
Your mom, by the way, before we get any further, sounds fantastic.
Oh, she's a wonderful
What's the
woman.
nickname that she has that's not her real name?
That Kai and Romina call her? Crystal? Crystal. Yeah. And so whenever she hears Crystal, she goes, Romina. Crystal. It's precious.
Yeah, that's
precious.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very Kai thing to do.
Yeah. But I would say it was really strict at the very beginning, but then roughly around kind of like 2008, like market crash sort of stuff. Yeah. That's when we moved to Woods Cross and everything, and that's when my mom went back to work. Once she went back to work, that's kind of when everything just totally like flipped around, because I was very, very sheltered up until then. Right. Like, knew nothing of the world. Knew literally nothing. And then when I started living there, I was able to I could ride my bike around the neighborhood. There were also some like scrappy neighborhood kids who scared me. And
which part of Woods Cross did you live?
Just right over there.
Like in this cul-de-sac? Like...
Not in this cul-de-sac area, but like I'm like pointing
by the apple?
Kind of by the apple. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of by the apple. And so for some reason, the people who lived in that house before us basically let all the neighborhood kids play in their backyard.
Oh, okay.
And so when we moved in, all the neighborhood kids would play in our backyard.
That's interesting.
But they weren't nice neighborhood kids. They were assholes. And like I remember one time they called my brother gay and like kicked him. Oh. And I like came out and was like, wow, what is going on here? Oh. And they still would come over. Yeah. And we're like, get out of our yard.
That's so weird.
It was so weird. But, yeah. So when we moved to that house, everybody, because it was during like the market crash and everything, and it was definitely a rough time in like my family's life, as I'm sure a lot of people had. And so it was definitely a stressful time for everybody. My mom was working, my dad was working at the time, and so I was kind of left to my own devices for like a lot of it. And I had to take care of my brother and sister for a while too. And then when somebody was home, because my mom started traveling and everything, because that's what her job required her to travel a lot. And my dad did, but they basically would be like 2 passing ships in the night. So like one would be there at one point, the other had to travel, that sort of thing. But my mom was gone so much that my dad didn't exactly keep up with the rules that she had, like the strict rules. So we were able to kind of like watch a lot more things.
Kind of start opening up or broaden your horizon on at least entertainment. Exactly.
I remember watching Braveheart. That's his favorite movie.
Oh, yeah.
He showed me Braveheart, and
Great movie.
Yeah, and I remember my mom hearing about it and being like, "What?
You took our kids' freedom."
Yeah, but you will not take our freedom. Yeah.
Was that the first? This is interesting. Was that the first movie that you had saw any type of nudity in? Because they do the scenes where they flash their butts.
Yeah. No, actually.
Oh, okay.
The first nudity that I ever saw was at my friend Molly's house, which was kind of around the same time, though, because her older brother was having this movie party, and she was able to invite a few friends as well, and so I came along.
Right.
And we were going to watch When a Stranger Calls, the original.
This
is also the first, like, scary movie that I watched. And it was pretty fucking spooky.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's a good first scary movie.
Yeah. And it had nudity in it.
Yeah.
And that was the first, I was literally not expecting that at all. And it was also the first time that, because I think it's technically PG-13.
Yeah.
Or something, because that was before they made the R rating.
Yeah.
And so it was PG-13. And so, because I had to call my mom every time I wanted to watch
a movie.
Oh
shit.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was a good kid. I called my mom to watch Scooby-Doo 2 because it was PG-13 when I was under 13. That's how good of a kid I was.
Shouts out.
Yeah.
Good kid.
Yeah.
The Good Noodle Award.
Good. Where's my gold star?
Right.
But I was 13 at the time, and I was like, PG-13? Hell yeah! And then I saw some naked dude crying in this bathroom.
Oh yeah, that's what the scene is.
And then I was like,
do they show Ween in that one? Or is he just naked?
I think he's just naked. I think they like barely don't show it, but you definitely see his butt.
Yeah, okay.
And all that.
That would have been awful. Like, fresh 13, your first PG-13 movie, and just
Ween.
You know what my first one was, which was weird, is
what?
The 16 Candles.
Oh my god.
Because they don't tell you, they just sneak that, like, shower scene in, and I'm like, what? I remember as a kid, I was like, what are those? Father?
Scooby?
What that?
What's going on here?
And then they're like, oh my god, because strangely enough, I grew up not LDS, but my parents still held, not, like, strict by any stretch of imagination, but it was still very, like,
LDS standards or sort of?
No, not standards, but I was like covering my eyes of any nudity. Like it was like you know,
don't look.
Yeah,
there's some biddies in the room.
Yeah, and you know, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I used to sneak though a lot, like DVDs, like because same thing. One worked in the morning, one worked in the evening for a lot of my life.
Oh yeah.
And like it was I'd want to watch all the movies they watched.
Yeah.
And it would be like, oh, we're watching American Pie tonight. You gotta skedaddle.
Get out of here.
And then, like, finally I was like, well, I want to know why I can't watch it. I know it was hilarious.
American Pie is a classic.
Even, like, 10-year-old, 11-year-old me, I was like, this movie's great.
What do they want me to watch this?
I don't know what all these jokes mean, but great.
Yeah, amazing.
But, okay, so you saw your first scary... Did the scary movie impact you at all?
I mean... I'd say yes, because shortly after that, I was kind of like, I think it was kind of like at first, like I really liked the adrenaline sort of stuff, you know? And then I started, because I would go and visit my grandma, on occasion. Also because she would like come and check in on us if my parents were gone for a really long time.
Yeah.
And she would start watching scary movies with me.
Oh.
And everything. And I was kind of like, oh, all right. And then I started watching scary movies alone. Also in a house that was haunted.
Wonderful.
Amazing. One of the only movies I had to stop midway was The Grudge because I was watching it late at night and my sister started sleepwalking at the same time.
Oh,
and I was like,
if that would have happened to me, I probably would have just... Because I was a weird one where same thing. I loved getting scared as a kid. I don't know why. It was like a weird, like...
It's like an adrenaline. You're like...
And like not being able to sleep all night. Like I knew it probably fucked me up as a kid.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, man, I remember the first time I watched, you know what movie fucked me up? Jeepers Creepers 2.
Oh.
That movie devastated me for a long time. But it's weird because like horror, like I know that a lot of families will never, like the parents won't watch horror.
Oh yeah.
And then the kids never get exposed to it. And then when they have their first like experience of like actually a really quality horror movie, like When a Stranger Calls is the original one for the time. So good. Makes me want to rewatch it. I'm like, maybe that's what I should do tonight. Yeah. I haven't watched that one. I watched the original because they remade it. Yeah. I went and saw the remake in the theaters and it was
it alright? I've actually never seen the remake.
It's decent. It's the
decent?
Same idea, a little bit more revamped, but I
just like, is there any nudity in it? Is there any butts?
There was a weird movie, and I can't remember if it was the remake of that.
Yeah.
But they oddly had a scene, like, that just was so not meant to be in the movie. I don't know why they did it. Where the girl was, like, just walking around her house, like, topless, and then, like, wearing white underwear. Like, really tight white underwear. And, like, you could see everything. Yeah. But it was a rated R movie, and I was like, this is really, like... This scene right here, like, ruined the movie.
Yeah,
it was either When a Stranger Called or like a movie. I think it was called Unborn or something like that.
Unborn, because I'm like, that sounds familiar.
And I just remember that scene specifically. I was like, this is so weird to like, because it was like the way they filmed it was to make sure that was like the center of this whole scene.
So you're
and
like,
I was like,
all right,
why are you? Like, the last scene, like, she just about died, and now we're watching her walk around with, like... I was like, this is... Oh,
like, I always feel like it's... I don't know. Because I love, like, 70s, like, slasher horror, you know? Where there's just, like, an unnecessary amount of titties.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, fantastic. I feel like that's kind of, like, a really good, you know, titular point.
Yeah.
I see what pun intended. But then I also hate how sometimes, especially like in nowadays, if they make it and they try to like, I don't know, add the like sexualization as well with the horror, and it just like doesn't fit. Because there's sometimes like where it does fit, where it's like, oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Friday the 13th is the perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. The whole reason that happened is because the camp counselors were fucking and he went out and drowned.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of like, if it like goes along with the theme or the aesthetic, but sometimes they just like to throw in some tits in there, and it's just kind of like,
It's almost like, I always looked at it as like they were trying to like pay homage to like old scary movies, but like, there's just times where it doesn't make sense. No. I did have the unique opportunity of, so my parents have always had Comcast, right? Yeah. In the early days of On Demand, like, were like a barren wasteland, right? Of just like crazy shit. And they had a horror section, and they had hundreds of like dog shit 70s and 80s horror movies.
That sounds
like just
so awesome.
Like if you look up Rotten Tomatoes scores, we're like in the 9s and 10s and 11s. And I remember the best one of the best ones was like, I don't remember the name. It started off with these girls in like playing softball, and they're in like short shorts and like crop tops, and I'm like, oh, this movie's gonna be hilarious. Okay, and like literally they play softball for like 3 or 4 minutes. Like, we gotta hit the showers, and they run in there, tops off, and they're just like bouncing around in the showers, and then some dude just walks in and murders all of them.
Now that
I'm like, this is a movie. We're 5 minutes in.
Oh, this is fantastic.
I was, and like, you know, one of the classics was the Flying Tomato.
Oh my god, yeah.
That had like gave like the tomato score, like it's because of that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
That one's amazing.
I've never actually seen that, but I've heard about it. Is
so
it good?
Awful. But that's what makes it
Yeah,
great.
but that makes it awesome. That's like, I would say one of my favorite 70s slashers is either House of Demons. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I haven't seen that one.
So good.
House of Demons?
It's, yeah, House of Demons.
We'll look it up on the fly.
It's where I have, also on my TikTok, I have a video of it where she's like, she has a bra on and she's like, and then like her younger brother pops out or something and goes, "Whoa! Bodacious boobies, sis."
Yeah! Fuck.
That's
so they remade this?
They remade it?
It says 2018, House of Demons.
No!
Right? Like,
I think so, yeah.
it has a great score of 3.3. Let me see.
I don't...
Night original.
It's so good.
1988 film?
Yeah.
Night of the Demons?
Oh, Night of the Demons, that might have been it. Yeah.
This?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bodacious boobies.
Bodacious boobies, sis. I also love Slumber Party Massacre 2. Specifically 2.
I've seen the first one.
The second one is so much better.
There was also one that I really liked, and I wish I could find the name of it. It was like, oh yeah, I've seen this Slumber Party Massacre ones. They're so fucking fantastically awful.
I know. I'm like, why is this? Like, I want to, for some reason, the murder makes me want to, like, be him. Just because he's, like, dressed in, like, all this leather, and he has his, like, drill, guitar, and he's just singing songs as he's, like, murdering. Fantastic.
There was this one, and I swear that there's, like, 8 movies of it, where it's, like, this lady who goes to camps and just kills people. There's gotta be, like, at least 8 or 9 of them. And I can't ever, I've looked, trying to find the name of it, and I just cannot figure it out. But I remember those just being so, just terribly awful.
Yeah. Where you're like, whoa.
But see, on the flip side, I just feel like everyone tries a little bit too hard in horror now. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's a lot of good horror.
But people try real hard.
I want some more, like, shitty horror that's just so fun.
Yeah, like a good... like camp horror, you know, where it's kind of like, it's just like over dramatic, you know. Honestly, I love, what is it? Is it The Babysitter?
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's actually, the thing is it has, what's her bucket in it? Red hair, had an OnlyFans.
Oh, the really popular lady?
Yeah, the one who was friends with Zendaya.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
I
don't remember her name. But she's in it, and so many people are like, oh, this movie sucks. But the thing is it's like, the whole entire movie premise is paying, like, homage to the older films, and they do a great job at it.
Right.
Because it's, like, over-dramatic, lots of blood, people dying over and over again, and, like, the occasional... I don't think there's any titties in it, necessarily, but it's actually kind of funny.
Right.
And then, like, really gory.
See, and I feel like some good movies that have happened recently that, like, not necessarily paid homage, but were, like, really good, like, remind me of old ones, was, like, Creep.
Oh, I love
Creep's fantastic.
So good!
Just because it's just so dumb and silly, but at the same time, like...
It's just, like...
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it gives you the creeps.
Yeah, like, it literally, like, the title fits perfect.
Yeah.
And then the second one was great, too.
And the second one, honestly, I was so surprised, because people are not good at making sequels.
No. That scene where he took his dick out, and then she's like, oh. And I'm like, this is great.
Damn.
She is A grade about it.
I'm so surprised that they kind of, like, they came up with another character to just match his energy.
Yeah.
You know? And I was
she
like...
was just as creepy.
Yeah. And he even got creepy. He was like, wait a minute.
What the fuck?
What is going on?
Then I really, really like The Terrorizer.
I love The Terrorizer.
Something about how that one was filmed, like specifically out of that first scene when they're in the diner, like it seemed like it was filmed like with older cameras. Yeah. And it was just so well done, and like we don't get anything about the story or why, He's just a straight up murdering clown.
He's just there, and I mean, they pay. Have you seen All Hallows Eve?
No, it was on my list because we talked about it last time. Yeah,
because they have a lot of little Easter eggs from that movie in it, and it's so good. But honestly, the Terrorizer clown, 10 times creepier than the one from All Hallows Eve. They like really amped him up.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot, because he's not even in a whole ton of it until the end.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, they said there's gonna be a second Terrorizer movie.
It was supposed to come out like last year or something, but then with like.
Thanks, COVID.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
So back to the original, because
OG combo.
We really need to do a full 2-3 hours of horror talk.
I'm so down.
Because there's just so much there's so much that we could dive into. Did you guys watch 7 yet, or am I still gonna be sad?
You're still gonna be sad. I will. If you send me a text with it in, because I gotta figure out what to do tonight. Well, my friend is off on a date.
Listen, I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a deal. We can call it a bet, but there's nothing a bet going on.
Okay. If
you watch 7 with Holly or whatever, and you guys don't like it or you don't think it's a good movie, I'll buy drinks the next podcast we do.
Okay.
I'll buy the Arnold Palmer, the Twisted Teas, or whatever anyone wants.
Okay. That's a deal.
But if you like it, you just have to say hey, it was a good movie.
Oh, real good. You'll be like, I knew it.
Good movie. But yeah, so back to the original conversation. So what age were you when you kind of had this shift of the rules kind of letting up a little bit?
I have to think of timelines. So we moved to Woods Cross when I was 12, I believe. 12, 13-ish, I'd say, because we stayed there for about 3 years. We moved my junior year, I believe. Or was it it might have been my sophomore year. We moved my sophomore year to the place that my parents are at now, in Bountiful. But that all pretty much started changing, around when I was kind of 11 to 12, I'd say.
That's an interesting time, too, to, have a change.
Yeah.
Physically, right? Because, that's when you're kind of, starting to, go through changes and different things like that. So that's a hell of a timing to then also start having less strict rules.
Yeah. And, the thing is, though, is, I sound so lame when I didn't do anything, about it. Since I had, a lot of freedom, in a sense. I could have really done whatever I want.
Yeah.
I just didn't. Just in the fact of, I don't know, I took the responsibility that I had, watching my siblings. Because the thing is, my siblings were pretty young.
Right.
My sister was about, I'd say, 7 or 8. She was about 7. And my brother was about, 9, 10.
Okay.
Sort of. And the thing is my sister started, after this whole change, she got really bad anxiety, and she actually was diagnosed with OCD later on. And
specifically from not having the
I think
rules in place.
I think it partly has to do with my mom leaving so suddenly to go back to work and everything, because she was there all the time for my sister, and then all of a sudden had to go.
It's almost like a separation anxiety.
Yeah, and so she would get really anxious and would be, basically, she would have to have somebody in the room with her almost at all times. Or else she would start freaking out and being like, can someone call mom? Where's mom? Where's Cass? Where's, you know, kind of being like, where is everybody? And a lot of stuff stems from different stuff that has happened when nobody was home. For example, my brother, one of these days, I was making dinner. He was riding his bike, and my sister was inside. And there's also, I didn't even know that she blamed herself slightly for this until a couple years ago, when she was like, yeah, no, that's why I was so anxious about him making sure where he was and everything for so long, because I told her, I was like, dinner's almost ready. Will you go call Caleb and have him come inside? And she was like, yeah, sure. She goes out, call Caleb, come inside, but then doesn't go and look for him. or anything necessarily. Or, like, she sees him, says, dinner's almost ready. He's like, okay. And then she goes back inside. A lot of time passes. And he's not back.
Mm.
And she's like, and I was like, did you go and call him? And she's like, yeah, I did. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll, like, wait a little longer. Because he has also really bad ADHD, so he gets distracted really easily.
Right.
And so it takes him a little bit longer to come and do things.
Sure.
You know, or would take a few reminders, which we knew. And I was like, will you go and call him again? And she's like, yeah, sure. And she apparently just kind of, like, opened the door and was like, Caleb! But then that was all of her calling. So we wait a little bit longer, and then we're like, what the heck? What is going on? And so then I go to open the door, and he's in the garage, basically, like, limping into the garage, and his mouth is full of blood, and it's just, like, pouring down his face.
Oh, shit.
And, like, he looks like he can't use his leg. And we're like,
right.
oh my god. And so I get him. I basically, like, whoop, I pick him up and I put him on the couch, and I, like, start cleaning him up, and his teeth are gone.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Or they're angled. It looks like he has vampire teeth.
Oh.
I don't know where they are, and, like, I don't know where they are, if he swallowed them or if they're out.
Yeah.
Apparently Caitlin went and, like, looked for his teeth for so long.
Oh.
And she couldn't find it, but she felt so bad. But I also, the thing is I mean, like, I was, like, I don't know, 12 or something. I couldn't drive, first of all. We also didn't have a car at the time. And I also knew that ambulances were a lot of money.
Right.
And we could not afford that at the moment. And so I call my parents and I go, I don't know what to do because I don't know if his leg's broken or if it's not, it's really bruised up. He can't really use it. But I don't know if this is something that I need to, like, call an ambulance for. So, like, I call them first to be like, I don't know what I should do with this situation. Apparently my dad was really close.
That's good.
Around here. So he came back. They immediately came back. And thank God, leg wasn't broken. Just super messed up. But he had to get, like, teeth implants.
Really?
And stuff. Yeah, because the nerve ended up dying up there because of it. Because apparently he was going off of a jump and the bike broke midway. And
shit.
It came around, hit him in the stomach, and he fell forward.
Oh, just like his face took
bam.
the whole...
Yeah, and apparently he was either smiling really big or screaming because the only damage was his teeth. That's it. He didn't mess up his nose, he didn't mess up his lips.
Wow.
At all. It was just his teeth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and we're like, whoa. But...
Considering that, I mean, that's shitty that his teeth got fucked up.
Yeah.
But, like, that could have been super bad.
Oh, yeah. And this is also one of the things that I was like, it made us realize that the neighbors that we lived around weren't all that good people. But because he literally, when that happened, he was laying on the ground, bloody, screaming for help. And it was a Sunday. People were home.
Oh, yeah.
Walking around the neighborhood. Nobody helped him.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Nobody helped him. So he had to literally limp his way home. And nobody helped him.
Wow.
Yeah. That's when we were kind of like, you know what?
Fuck
all you
fuck
guys.
these guys.
Yeah, what the hell? Oh, yeah, no. But that neighborhood was not a good place. At least for, like, everything that we were going through. And definitely kind of solidified a lot of my choices, like in leaving the church and stuff like that.
The neighborhood specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. Just
because it was a more LDS-focused neighborhood and you kind of started to see, like the bad parts of it, you know? Interesting. Yeah. So, I'm curious. So, how long did you kind of have to take care of your brother and sister? Probably from about, like, 11, 12 to 16, 17. Really? I'd say, yeah. Do you feel like that was does that bug you at all? No. I've had multiple conversations, like, with my mom, because it's like, the thing is she has conversations with me where, because my sister's a teenager now, she's 17, and there's a lot of things that she's going through that my mom is like, I have no idea how to handle this, because she's like, because basically you raised yourself. I had no hand in, like, the person that you've become, but you're so great. So
how did this happen? If I didn't parent in the way that I thought I should have, and then you turned out really great, and then this kid I'm trying to parent, just not really working out, having a lot of headbutting and stuff like that. And I was like, honestly, I don't know. But I had a conversation with her where I was like, I don't want you ever saying that you thought you were a bad mom or any of that, because she would be like, I feel like a bad mom. And I'm like, don't. She had to do I was like, you had to do what you had to do.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, at the moment, like, honestly, yeah, I was a little, like, upset and resentful, especially around kind of, like, the whole 16 to 18 range. I was like, I missed a lot of my childhood, all this stuff, and, like, just a lot of resentment, you know, because I also kind of I was, like, severely depressed during all that time, you know, as well. But I was very, like, kept it all in deep.
You had
to,
because
I had to. Yeah, exactly. And so I was very resentful for, like, that amount of time. But then I kind of came to the realization that I was like, we would have not survived if my mom didn't do that.
Right.
And I had to do what I had to do, and I turned out fine.
Yeah.
And the thing is I was like, and I don't care that, like, I didn't get to have, like, a normal childhood or anything, because the thing is I was like, well, none of my life has been normal.
Right.
And I'm like, and that's kind of
well, and I think normal too, like, I've yet to talk to anyone who feels like they had a normal childhood, because I'd be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I had the most normal childhood out of a lot of people, and then I, like, sit down and think about it, I'm like, oh,
you're like,
never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. There's a lot of shit.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, it's kind of it's subjective, I guess, because it depends. Everybody has their own unique experiences and unique families.
Right.
And everyone goes through something different, and so there's no, like, good baseline for normal.
I kind of think, like, a normal thing does kind of sort of line up with, like, the church thinking in a way.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's one of those things, like, there is, like, a stereotypical way that you should probably do things.
Yeah.
And you're either not normal based off of what they think, or you're, like, more normal or more strict than what they think.
Yeah, yeah.
Which sounds like you had the more strict side growing up early on, but then kind of...
Then it kind of flip-flopped.
So do you think... Because I definitely have to say, like, getting to know you over the past couple years, you're a lot more... You have had a more level head than maybe people... Don't be offended. Maybe people in your peer group, you seem like a little bit more mature than they are in a lot of different ways. Do you think maybe that is because you had to step up at a young age and do, like, legit adult things?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that was actually, I had a conversation earlier today about that, where sometimes I was talking to my mentor, and I was just kind of like, I sometimes will get frustrated with people seeing things differently, or not, like, handling things the way that I think that they should be handled, like, in a more kind of, like, I guess, mature way, or anything. And she kind of, like, she's like, well, the way you grew up, you had to start your process of, like, thinking maturely, like, at 12.
Yeah. And
the thing is that's a 10-year gap of then you going from that mature point where people are probably at now.
Yeah. And
then on. And so she's like, the thing is they're just starting out on their whole maturity kind of journey.
Yeah, and you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. And so she was like, so it's understanding that it's, frustrating, but it's also, you just have had a lot more experience at an early age that kind of, like, has taught you throughout life.
I think that in a weird way is, like, because usually when you meet people who are successful, you know, quote unquote, if it's not inherited, it's usually a story that's similar to that, where either they had a really piss poor childhood and they just want to make sure that it never happens again, or they had to step up and raise kids when, you know, at a younger age.
Yeah.
Because it does, like, I truly think that, like, in a weird way that like, that struggle period as a kid doing those things is actually like a jump start to being, like, 10 steps ahead of people.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, honestly, I would agree with, like, Kit, a business partner of my dad, who he's probably talked about. Yeah. is one of the most interesting people that we know, and like also very, very successful. But I mean, he was at one point in his life he was homeless, and he was just living on the streets. He was sleeping on people's porches and all of that, and now he owns the biggest emerald in the world. Yeah, and like, wild. Yeah, so it's just kind of like everybody starts from somewhere, and usually people who kind of are ahead in that sense, or kind of like, I don't know, I almost want to call it like resilience.
Yeah, I think it's resilience, and I think too, it's like, I feel like especially in like the 20th century, like when we're kids, we get so blinded by just like silly shit, right? Like I could tell you all the episodes of SpongeBob, but I couldn't tell you about like hot topics that happened in 2004. Yeah, I have no idea. I just watched a video, sidetrack, today about like how there was a virus that attacked Microsoft and shit in like 2004, and it cost them like $36 billion. What? Yeah. I had no idea about that shit when I was in 4th grade, because cartoons, video games, not that they're bad, but like when you have that access and you don't have stress, like you aren't taking care of kids, or you can come home to a household that's quiet, like instead of like building yourself, because you're a kid, you don't understand what that is, you just kind of fill it with fun shit, because that's what you do as a kid. So I really think that like those who have to go through that, like that type of stuff during their childhood, are really just, they mature faster. You start realizing what's important and what's not important.
It forces a perspective on you, I guess, which sometimes it's like, that's shitty, but it's also, I don't know, the perspective that it almost like put me in is, now I'm just kind of like, I just want to be able to retire early so that I can do that and kind of like go play video games and like do whatever I want and not work.
Have stress.
Yeah. And that's kind of like my goal, is just like early retirement, basically. You know, well, which I think is like everyone's.
Well, with that plan you have, it's probably gonna happen. Cash.
Money.
If you did like, we won't talk about it because I don't want the world to know. Yeah. If you did like something like, if like a company came to you and they're like, hey, listen, we fucking love it. Here's $25 million. Let me just take everything. Would you A, give it to them, or B, if you did, what would you do?
I wouldn't give them full rights. I would want some sort of, I wouldn't want like a controlling portion, right, or anything, but I would want some sort of portion so then I would have like a residual income coming in. But then I would take an upfront payment, you know, of like
whatever.
Probably definitely wouldn't be like 25 million, but maybe it would be, I don't know, but like, you know, I would take an upfront payment and then like,
you told me the idea, and in that industry there's a lot of money. Still, that's not a lot of money, I don't think, in their world.
That's true.
You know,
I'm so excited about that. I just found out, actually. So I was in my lecture yesterday, and the guy, my contact that's going to be helping me make this product, is actually going to be a guest speaker in my lecture.
Oh, no shit?
Yeah. And so I'm like, what a small world.
Have you met him in real life?
Not yet, no.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm probably going to like meet him then and just kind of come up and be like, hey, by the way.
Hey, I'm that person.
I'm that person, but it'll be like, what? Interesting. Because I think it's really, I don't know. I always, in my mind, I assume that people see me differently, like automatically, because I feel older than I actually am. You know, when people really see me, like, if they don't talk to me specifically, they think that it's like, oh, college student. In a sense. But, like, then people are shocked when, like, I actually talk to them. Yeah. And I sound like, I don't know, like this.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, it's very exciting wanting to shock a bunch of, like, 40-year-old men. Right. Being like, hey...
What up with it?
Let's get started, baby.
That'd be great if you like walk in there. What up with it, cuz? What we doing?
What up with it? They're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
She's got a brain, but
she scares
us with that talk. Are those the memes?
Are they what are the memes?
Yeah, the memes?
The memes that we're talking about? That's actually what my mom called them.
Oh, my mom too. She's like, what are these memes? And I'm like,
yeah, first
get
of
off
all,
the internet. I'm gonna put you in a hole.
I'm gonna go back to your room.
Okay, so you raised your siblings
mm-hmm.
until about 16, 17. I imagine that's when things kind of got a little bit more stable.
Yeah.
So, do you have like one of those moments where you just like, where you're like, oh, okay, this is for sure not for me? Or was it like a gradual, like, no, I don't really believe in that. No, I don't really believe in that. Like, because everyone's different. Like,
yeah.
I have a lot of people who I've talked to in like DMs and stuff after that episode who've given me their story.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's different.
Oh yeah.
You know, which is awesome, but it's also what I hear a lot is, you know, fear. Everyone was either scared or is currently scared to make that decision. And from an outside perspective, I will genuinely say that I don't understand it because I'm not in that world. Yeah. But when it's explained to me, like, you know, loss of community, family, relationships, like everyone around you could potentially just be like, oh, well, you're not one of us anymore.
Well, I should have, well, I mean, I guess I technically have it. I don't even know if it's like, it's not that good, but for a class, I actually had to make this graphic novel of me leaving the church. So it had to be something like a life-changing event.
Okay.
And so I made mine about me leaving the church. And I actually thought it was like pretty, I don't know, it was very healing to make it in the first place.
Oh, I bet.
And everything. It's really scrappy and just put together. But it was good to kind of go through things because I was like, I forgot that even happened. Oh my gosh. Because it was like I had to kind of go through a whole timeline. Because my first thing was when we moved into that neighborhood and everything. And it was very different from the previous one where everybody's known each other since like forever. And they're all super nice, or at least the people that I was talking to were super nice. And like I was really good friends with all of them. And then in this one, they're very cliquey. They're all already friends. Also, as like a 12, 13-year-old girl, it's like 13-year-old girls can be really fucking mean.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. And so I remember being confused about certain things, because that's also when I kind of started thinking critically. I think it's also because of the situation I was in of taking care of kids. It made me think more maturely and started thinking about people other than myself, and then kind of like, is this environment right? Just in general, and kind of being more wary of things. And so it started making me think about certain stuff, and I was like, and I remember asking the question in my class. I was like, hi, I'm wondering why people of color were not allowed to have the priesthood until like late 80s. And my teacher just told me, oh, we're not allowed to talk about that.
Wow.
And that was my first like red flag. I was like, if
think
this
there would
is
be a good answer.
Yeah, I was like, if this is like, as you say, the true church, why are you not able to talk about it?
Yeah.
You know, and also, why would there be discrimination in the first place if it was actually like something of God, who, as you say, is, you know, all loving.
Right.
May not be all like benevolent, or whatever, but all loving no matter what. So it didn't really make any sense to me, and I was kind of like, oh, weird. And then at that moment, a lot of the kids started noticing that I was like, they were like, she's asking questions.
Right.
They were like, oh, we don't ask those questions.
No.
They're like, And then slowly but surely, the kids started to kind of like shun me, you know, and stopped inviting me to things and stuff, and kind of like that. I never was truly bullied around that time, but that was kind of the closest thing that I got.
Right.
Was those kids in my neighborhood
cold shoulder,
shunning me, or like I remember literally riding my bike. I would go to this park, and then I could like ride around the park and then go back. All of the kids were there at the park, and they're all talking on this thing, and I pull up. They all stop talking immediately and just look at me. and they'll just watch me ride around. And one of them was like, "Oh, hi, Kassidy," and I was like,
"What's up?"
"Hey, this is weird, but I have to. This does not give me a turnaround, so I have to do this awkward like full circle around them while they're all like."
Yeah, that's weird.
Ugh, weird. They were all like that. Except for there was like a couple who were really nice to me, but they were much older than me also. So none of the girls that were my age specifically. But I would say that would be one of the biggest turning points. And then also, I remember I was doing laundry, and all of my church clothes were dirty and everything, and I didn't have anything. And I was like, crap. Well, I told my mom that I would take my siblings to church. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right. So I grab a skirt that I had that was like, I knew was short, but I was also like, this is the literal only skirt I have.
Right.
So I put that on. I put on a shirt. We go. And I'm sitting there in class. They literally stop class and pull me aside and say, the male leaders are here and your skirt is really distracting. We're going to need you to go home and change. I was 12.
That's something.
Yeah. And I was like,
So if they were just been like, hey, yo, like, dress code.
Yeah. And I basically, I was like, this is all I had.
Yeah.
And you guys tell us that it's better to come here than to not. And so I did. And I think that was actually when I was like 14, because that's when I decided that I did not want to go back.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, I'll go change. And then I just didn't come back.
Sure.
Yeah. And then once my mom came back, she would make me go and all that stuff. And I was kind of like, ugh. It took me a while to work up the courage to actually talk to her about it. And she even says it's probably one of the top 5 hardest things she's ever had to hear in her entire life. Really? Mm-hmm. And it's one of the top 5 things that I've ever had to do in my entire life. Because the thing is she was in like a very loosely Mormon sort of family. Like her mom wasn't. I think she was a part of the church, but like not really. Like she still drank and stuff.
Yeah, she went, but didn't.
Yeah, and like my mom had to basically fight to be in the church, and so for her daughter to fight to not be in the church was just a perspective she couldn't fully understand. And so having that conversation at first was like really terrifying, but it really made her think through a lot of things. And I mean, she did kind of ignore the fact that I ever told her for about 2 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And she would keep telling me, and I'd be like, we've had this conversation. I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Wait, so did you ever like, because like that's disturbing, obviously, like the whole, hey, male leaders are here.
And I'm like, they're 40.
Yeah. I'm 14.
Yeah, I'm 14.
Did you ever have that fear, like when you built up that courage to finally say it? Like, were you worried that like she would like kick you out or anything like that? Because I know you're younger, so it's not. There's a lot of kids who leave the church at a younger age, but typically like that full like, no, I'm done doesn't happen until they're an adult.
I never necessarily had the fear of being kicked out. There were times. I was also an angsty teen. There were times that I wanted to like run away and stuff like that. Sure. And do all that or become emancipated or something. Yeah. You know, different things like that. But I was never, like, I guess I would be afraid, but I was never fully afraid. Because I remember a point where one time my dad got angry at, it was either me or my brother, something like that. I don't know. And basically was like, he said something like, if you can't do that, get out of the house. Yeah. And I remember my mom going, you do not tell any of my kids to leave the house. And he was like, okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And that was the last of that. And I was like, bad bitch move.
I guess, like, yeah, I guess that is an interesting perspective because, like, you were already kind of shunned from, like, the other kids. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like you were necessarily, like, losing friends. Yeah. And, you know, you already had that situation with, like, the neighborhood where you're like, it's kind of fucked up. Like, my brother's out here bleeding and potentially could be, like, really fucked up, and no one even, like, took a second to see if he was okay. You know? So, like, interesting.
Yeah. And that's, because I know a lot of people do have the, you know, they have the companionship of friends in their church and everything. Yeah. And that's a big reason why people like it and why people stay, is because people want that feeling of belonging and they want a community. And that's what it gives you. Right. But also it kind of gives this whole toxic mindset.
Right.
And just keeps circling things about and about and about. And it can get worse and worse and worse on just certain ideals and just how people act towards each other, just in general.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I agree with you for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so crazy to think that, like, I mean, we at one point we didn't live far from each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And like that was going on with you, you know, and I don't know. It's just this has become such a fascinating topic for me, and I think that I want to continue having more people on because, like, I remember there was a girl who, I don't remember how she, like, started coming and hanging out with our group, but she had been, like, LDS her whole life, and then, like, almost at, like, it seemed like almost at, like, a drop of a dime, she, like, started hanging out with our friend group, and then, like with, you know who you are, I'm not trying to shit talk you, but, like, it was, like, a weird transition of, like, showed up, like, a week, I think it was a Tinder date for one of our friends.
Okay.
And, like, she was very, like, LDS.
Yeah.
But then, like, within that week had, like, got fucked up, smoked weed, and had sex. All within, like, the week. Maybe even 2 weeks. And I was just, like, and then I was like, that's interesting. And, like, she was attractive, so everyone in the group was like, oh, hot girl hanging around.
Like, yeah, like, all right.
And then I sit back and think about it, and I'm like, man, did we do a disservice to her, like, letting her be in that environment? Because, like, I get, like, that whole thing where, like, you know, if you go to a whole new outlook on life,
yeah,
it can be extremely overwhelming. And then, like, there's that need to, like, fit in, right? And, like, we were all at the point where, like, we were just, it's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
We partied almost every night and drank and smoked and did all that thing. So, like, I always wanted to talk to her and be like, what was it that, like, shifted the mentality? Were you just, like, done?
Yeah.
Or was it, like, you being in an environment that was actually fun for you?
That you were kind of like, might as well. I don't know when I'm going to experience this again.
Yeah. Or was it, like, I wanted to fit in? Yeah. Like, I've always been curious, and ever since that moment, because, like, a lot of people in that group came and went, like, partied and left and never talked to them again. And that was the one that I always thought was specifically interesting because it was just so, like, unless she wasn't saying the whole story, like, which who knows?
Yeah.
It just seems so strange to me to, like, to be one person 1 week and then immediately now completely different. Yeah.
Which I've noticed that it's pretty common for LDS members to kind of do that. It's almost like they have two personalities in a sense.
Yeah.
Of, like, one is, like, the one that they go to church with, show families, stuff like that. And then the other one is the one where they want to actually have fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know, be a teenager and, like, you know, fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And because every kid wants to do that.
Sure.
At some point.
Doesn't matter what you believe.
Exactly. And then I actually know somebody who did something kind of similar where, like, really religious, wanted to go on a mission, everything. She started to then, well, she would drink occasionally, started to drink, started to smoke, do all that stuff. Then was into liking girls and stuff like that, and was kind of expressing, like, bisexuality and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, I was a horny bastard, and I was like, I could be your first kiss if you want.
Right.
That's exactly what happened. She actually started hyperventilating, and then it was like, I need a moment.
That's actually really funny and adorable.
It was precious.
I'm great.
She's like, let me think about this for a second. She was like, I'll need a couple drinks.
Love it.
And I was like, let me know.
Yeah, I'll be over here.
Oh, yeah.
You take, like, a sip.
Hey. And then she almost at the drop of a hat was like, okay, I'm going to go on a mission.
Really?
Yeah. And then decided to go back. And that's still something that confuses me. Like, was it just kind of like trying to get out of a system or something?
And I'm sure, like, because we're all individuals, right? Like, everyone's internal struggle is vastly unique.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's why I want to keep talking about it with people, because it's, you know, it's so interesting to think that, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's them questioning it. Maybe they question it enough and they're like, no, I don't want to do it. Because I'd rather a million people like that who go, either they're Christian, Catholic, whatever religion, it doesn't have to be LDS.
Yeah.
But they take time to, like,
figure out what they want.
Walk away from it. Yeah. And learn on their own about their personal beliefs. And you know what? If you go and learn and you figure out, like, you know what? No, I do believe in that. That's great.
And it's like, dope.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like, you know, you do you. Maybe that's what hers was. Maybe she just, like, she dabbled because she was curious or she wasn't sure on everything. And then maybe she was like, no, this
actually, this is what I want to do. Yeah, and that's, like, the thing is, I hear a lot of people talking about, especially people who are, like, ex-Mormon and stuff like that. Usually it's, like, not a whole ton of good things to say. Yeah. You know? But, I mean, in the beginning, I would always say, I don't hold any resentment. Sure. Or I'm not, like, angry. Because the thing is I don't like to be an angry person. No. About any, it's not worth my energy, just in general. And the more I learned, sometimes it does make me kind of angry about, like, certain situations. And I'm just kind of like, man, that is kind of culty, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the thing that bothers me the most is, like, I know that we live in America and we get freedom of religion, but if you take someone who, from their first thought, you tell them something, they're not going to know any better. Yeah. I don't feel like that's freedom.
Yeah, I mean, when I got baptized at 8 years old, I remember having this exact thought because my mom sat me down and was like, it's your choice. Yeah. You don't have to get baptized. You can if you want to. Which also, it was the day on my baptism. I was literally wearing my baptism dress. So I was like, what? The thing is, I had the exact thought, what else is there?
Yeah, exactly.
Because my entire community had already done it, and they were all expecting me to. And the thing is like, this is the only thing I've been told that it's true.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, totally. And I even have a journal that I was given the day of my baptism, and in it is written, basically, like, I don't know what else, like, she said that I can't, but I don't know what else there is.
Yeah, what else would I do?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of my biggest problem with it, because, like, don't get me wrong, like, I actually like living in an LDS community because, like, I don't have to stress about a lot of things. Yeah. You know, I really don't. Like, if people don't like me, like, I've always been one that, like, if people don't like me, it's because they haven't taken the time to get to know me. Yeah. If they take the time to get to know me and they still don't like me, then
it's like,
can't please everybody. Yeah. You know, but I just feel like it's not fair to an individual to cater their whole life to believe a certain way. Like, I feel like that has to be decisions made when they can actually critically think. Yeah. But, like, humans don't know any better. It's just what happens, right? If you're religious, you raise your kid religious.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why, I don't know, I always go back and forth on, I mean, like, first of all, if I want to have a kid. But second of all, if I was going to raise a kid, I wouldn't want to raise them, like, in a religion specifically. But also the thing is, I do like the whole aspect of the community. Yes. And I do want my child to have something like that. And so then it's kind of like, what is there that is a good community for my child, but that's not centered around religion? Right.
I would hope that we have something at some point. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different communities now, but there's definitely not one where it's like, I mean, I'm sure there's Facebook groups or, you know, whatever groups, but, like, there's not, like, a group of, like, hey, my kid can go do this every Sunday, and everyone is really nice and polite. Yeah. And it's not religious. Like, that just doesn't exist. Like, even the Boy Scouts, you know, around here ran by the church.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, there's, like, some boys and girls clubs, but that's also just, that's usually, like, what, in between school? Sure, yeah. And also,
I mean, you can do summer camps, but, like,
Those are also kind of religious sometimes.
Those are religious, and they're also kind of like...
kind of sketchy.
Yeah, you know, like, you always hear... Anytime someone's like, oh, I was at summer camp, you're like, ugh. Someone's either dying or getting fucked. What's happening?
Hey, give me the tea, baby.
Timmy drowned?
Timmy fell down the well?
Yeah, like, damn. No, I agree with you, though. There really isn't anything... And I've thought about that, too, growing up a lot. Because, like, you know, I've told my story a bunch of times. Like, not raised religious, but, you know, I was told what was right and what was wrong. And I think that's one thing that people really need... in Utah need to understand is, like, if I'm not Mormon, I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
Our generation understands that more. Mm-hmm. But older generations, like, they're still kind of that, like...
They're like, ah. And I mean, that's the whole process that my mom had to go through when I kind of was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That she had to be like, what? And then seeing me still be a good person.
Yeah.
And thriving. And she was like, it doesn't make sense, because she was also in this community for so long that her thought process was, if you weren't Mormon, you weren't fully good.
Well, and I also think that there's like this, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I kind of always thought that, like, if you tell your family you want to leave the church or you're not part of it, it's this immediate, like, judgment of, like, oh, they're probably drinking, doing drugs, or they want to leave because they want to have sex.
Yeah.
And that's not the reality.
Mm-mm.
For a lot of people, that's really not the reality.
Oh, yeah, no.
You know, I'm sure there's some, right? Because, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that the sex things for a lot of LDS men before they return on their mission has been a problem. Mm-hmm. I mean, we now have the term soaking. Have you heard of that? That's a thing.
Also, what is it? Oh, I almost want to text my sister and ask her what it is, because Durfing. What is that?
Durfing?
Yeah. Apparently that's basically just like dry humping. That's just what it's called.
Durfing.
But it's called like Durfing. And that's like that's the slang nowadays in high schools, is like, hey, you want to Durf in my car? That sounds so gross.
If someone told me that, I'd probably just be like, fuck out of my face.
I actually, when...
Go Durf your dad. Fuck alone.
I'll Durf your mom!
Yeah.
I literally was on a dating app a bit ago when I was in my open relationship, and somebody asked me, a 21-year-old man asked me if I wanted to mow.
Mow?
Mow. I
Like
had to
lawn?
look it up.
Like mow his lawn?
No, like M-O.
Oh, mow? Okay.
He's like, do you want to mow? And I was like, what the fuck is that? I had to look it up or like ask my friends, and they're like, it means make out.
Oh.
And I'm like...
That's weird. Why did you just say it?
Yeah, why don't you say... Apparently it's like a term here for like making out.
Oh.
That leads to Durfing.
I mean, from a guy's perspective, if anyone ever asked me if I wanted to Durf...
You want to Durf?
Not happening.
Yeah, I'd be like, sorry.
I saw a real spicy meme about the soaking thing. And they like explained what it is. So for those of you who don't know, and this was news to me, by the way. So soaking is where the act of putting your ween inside your partner, but not moving. Because
no hands.
The sin is in the thrusting.
It's in the motion.
It's in the motion, and the meme that I saw is the reason why it's a sin is because Jesus is actually a T-Rex and he only sees by motion. So if they aren't moving, Jesus T-Rex can't see it.
He's like,
where did you go?
No, sitting here.
The pictures of these two people like in the bed covered, like soaking or whatever, and T-Rex busts his head through the window like, where did you guys go? So good.
Oh my god.
But can we just address though the problem that they are literally trying to find ways to be sexually active because it's just driving them insane.
It's like
that they have to figure out, because like the old dirty joke was like, is it Christian or Catholic girls will do it in the butt?
Yeah, because then it's not technically
they're not having
I know
sex.
Who did that.
Oh yeah, I've heard the stories.
Yeah.
There was a rumor in my school of a girl who did it, and every guy would try, and then apparently it was either true or not. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
But like, Yeah.
Well.
Trooper.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, we have to address that problem, right?
Like, it's like, just have sex. If it's that bad, just do it.
Just.
You can repent later.
Give it a go.
Yeah, you know what? There are so many people who have premarital sex and still are a part of the Mormon church. They either don't tell and let the guilt eat them inside.
Destroy them.
Destroy them. Or you just go and repent, which then also, this is also an issue with the Mormon church, bishops asking girls about being sexually active and wanting them to, like, describe it.
Yeah, that's some fucked up stuff.
Right? But, like, the thing is to confess or whatever, well, to repent, you have to go to them and you have to tell them what you did, technically, but they always ask for unnecessary detail. It's
so weird being, like, we're in 2021, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you and I both have devices where we can get up and see the whole world.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, still shit like that, where, like, it just happens.
Yeah.
We know it happens.
Mm-hmm.
We know, like, the priest jokes and the the pastor
that's
jokes.
something that
that's
happens.
Always just, like, that's just something that happens.
Yeah.
And we can't do anything about it, I guess.
Oh, my God.
Like, there's just no part of me that, like, can understand, like, okay, if, like, a girl or a boy really felt like they fucked up and they wanted to go and confess, and they're like, oh, I did this thing. I feel like there, like, is an appropriate way to, like, deal with that problem as, like, a priest.
Yeah.
Or a bishop or whatever. Like, I'm sure it could be like, well, you know that's a sin, right?
Yeah.
Well, 20 Hail Marys or whatever the Mormon church does.
The thing is, I actually don't know what it is necessarily. I've never actually gone in to repent for something that I've sinned for. And, like, the thing is I don't know exactly. I think it's just, like, you have to reflect and you have to pray a lot.
Yeah, I think that's...
to God. That's basically all it is. And I'm like, what? That's not that bad.
You know what's an interesting theory that I'm kind of working on?
What?
So, do you think that, like, because, like, as we're learning more about, like, Eastern medicine, we're finding out, like, the super great benefits of, like, meditation.
Oh,
right? Like, that you can clear your mind. Do you think that, like, people who pray are just practicing meditation, and then the thoughts that they're hearing are just, like, them reflecting, but they're equating it to God?
Oh, 100%. Because the thing is meditation, and I used to meditate a lot, but I try to do it. I meditated, like, earlier this week or something, and I was like, wow, why don't I do this more often?
Right, it's great.
I'm like, wow. But, I mean, it's all about, like, mindfulness and being, like, completely there and in the moment and not, like, worrying about certain things. And so, I mean, I guess if you're trying to have your moment of peace, fully be there and talk to whoever you're talking to.
Right.
I would consider that meditation.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
So my mom prays every night. And she prays by her bed, but she puts, like, her, like, decorative pillow that she has on her bed on the floor so then it doesn't hurt her knees when she's praying.
Yeah.
And she's had these cleaning ladies clean her house for so long that they think that the pillow there that she uses for her knees are, like, that's her actual, like, religious pillow.
Oh.
And so when they, like, make her bed and everything, they don't put it back up.
That's great.
They, like, leave it down, and they, like, and it's, like, it's actually so cute.
Yeah, that's
it's
some
like,
good respect
it's
right
like,
there.
oh, and she's like, they haven't asked me about it, but she's like, honestly, I kind of like it, so that I don't have to move it down.
Yeah.
And she was like, I've never expected that from anybody. And she's like, why don't we have more religious pillows? And I was like, you should make one.
Yeah, business move.
Yeah.
Business move for the church. Religious pillows.
Religious pillows.
Are your knees hurting today? Have you prayed every week?
Have you prayed?
You should. Does your knees hurt?
Are your knees hurting?
I bet
they
do. Damn, business idea.
Exactly. But, yeah.
I just think, like, because, like, when you think about a lot of religions, like, they kind of cop shit from everyone else.
Yeah.
I wonder if the praying thing was just like we know meditation's good. So if we just throw our own little twist on it, they're going to have benefits from it.
Yeah. And so they're like, if they actually use this every day, people are like, wow, I feel so much better. And it's like, yeah.
Well, and, you know, the
you
whole idea of praying is to, like, you don't pray for things, right? Like you don't go pray and be like, God, I want a Bugatti.
Yeah.
You know.
God, give me a Bugatti.
Yeah. Like, fucking. Right. But like you pray for like good things, right?
Yeah.
But
like world peace.
We're starting to understand that like manifestation in your own mind is like super mindful. It's super important. Yeah. So like in a way you're praying, but you're just kind of manifesting your own hopeful reality. But if you do it enough, you just kind of make the movements to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that maybe it is like similar to meditation, but just with like a little bit of
spice.
Yeah. What's the TikTok?
Just add a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
The spice is God, by the way.
Yeah, it's always God.
Yeah, always God. God is my spice.
I do like the idea, though, that God is either not all powerful or not all good. And that's always a tough one for people who don't like research a lot to understand.
Because it's like the thing is no matter what, if you're going off of also just life facts in general, if God was all good, why are there kids with cancer?
Why we got COVID?
Yeah, why do we have COVID? Why?
To test us, Kassidy. He's testing our will and strength.
You know what?
You know
what? But the thing is also with all of that also says that he can't control things,
right? As
well. And I like my senior high school English teacher, who shouts out Miss Johnson, love you, baby. He actually brought up this really interesting point, and he's Mormon. The thing is he's Mormon, but like loosely Mormon. Yeah. And he was like, one of my favorite theories of religion, not religion, but like kind of like of like God in general, is instead of God, it's a mad scientist. Okay. And basically, we're the petri dish. And the thing is as you know from like, chemistry class and whatever, if you're doing an experiment, you have to have multiple different things, but you can't touch it. Yeah. You can't affect it. You just have to plop it all down and just watch it go.
Happens. Yeah.
And he's like, and I always thought that was a really interesting point of view, that it's kind of like, it's just seeing how things go.
Right.
Just in general. It's just kind of a test run, which I really like, because, I mean, the thing is I consider myself agnostic in a sense of I don't believe in necessarily like higher power or like a God. And if there was a God, honestly, I'm more leaning towards the fact that God would be a woman or a non-gender being.
Yeah, I don't think male and female would be relevant to it.
Yeah, it would just be, which, by the way, not to get fucking nerdy, but there was this comic called Devil Number 4. And in it honestly, made me cry like a fucking baby, dude. So good. But in it has kind of like devils and angels. Okay. And then also there's like God. But God is just like any other human being in a way. Right. So like he's technically he and she. So basically is like an in-between. So doesn't have a specific gender. Right. And looks feminine but also masculine at the same time. Is born, raised, and like just kind of like lives an actual human lifespan, and then is just kind of like reborn throughout, but still has the complete knowledge of God. Right. In general. And honestly is a sadistic fuck in this. But it's so good.
I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the same boat as you. Like, I don't think that there's a higher power. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything dictating what we're doing either. Yeah. Because I mean, it's just, if you really sit back and like take a day. I know that sounds like a lot, but take a day and just think about like what we are. Yeah. Like what is really going on right now. Like it doesn't make sense. And adding anything, like I really think a lot of religion is a coping mechanism.
Oh yeah.
Because it just, for me, and I've struggled with this my whole life, like it's shitty not believing in a God.
Because the thing is it's like,
dead, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's done. It's over. That's
GG.
It. Yeah.
GG, no re. It's no replay. We're not doing it again.
No
it's
replay.
Over.
Shawty,
and like, right. It's just, it's always been like, because like when I was super young, I had this thought that like, I don't remember why I had the thought, but it was like, if I died, the only thing that might happen is I might come back as like something else. And I had that thought at a young age, and I was like, okay, well then, what does that mean? Like, what do I believe in?
Yeah.
So I researched and this was before I had phones, so researching was fucking dumb. And, you know, the closest thing to that is like a Middle Eastern religion, you know, like a Buddhist or something like that. But then I still don't believe in that type of thing because I get that that's more of like self-enlightenment, you know, live your life the best without like, you know, the whole the real karma ideology. But I was like, yeah, but that's still just like some guy who existed that thinks he's right.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Like, he makes a lot more sense than other people, but he's still just a guy that thinks he's right.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what, like, we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's just so arrogant to try and pretend like we know.
Yeah, to be like, oh, of course I know.
Like.
Yeah, and it's like.
If we take like the vast, like the lifespan of how long Earth we think it's existed, we're not even like a dust speck of time.
Oh, yeah.
That we know humans have like at least been conscious enough to like be like, oh, we here. We here. You know?
It's no.
Yeah. Like, what? Like, at the most, 5,000 years.
Yeah.
At the most. That's not that long.
Mm-mm.
I could count to 5,000 in like 2 hours.
And the thing is it's still going to continue on for so long after that. And, I mean, when I think of, like, you know, kind of, like, agnostic just in general, it's, like, I believe in science.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in facts. But I also have, you know, it's kind of the understanding of, like, some things are unexplainable.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, the way that all of the atoms in the world fit perfectly to just make this.
It's weird.
Is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane and doesn't seem coincidental.
No.
In a way, you know.
Definitely, like that is one of the weirdest things. Is like it's so like if you take what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're talking to each other in something that was built by atoms.
From things that literally grew from the ground.
That literally grew from the ground.
Were made from other atoms.
It's just like a really like when I think if people took more time like really thinking about like every little thing that is like around you, not only like go buy a fucking microscope and like and you're gonna
crazy.
Be like, oh, that's a whole other world.
That's oh shit, what's up?
Yeah, there's another planet in this carpet right now doing
like
their
Horton,
thing.
Here's a who?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I feel like if it was constructed, it's a simulation.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe similar to what the English teacher said.
Kind of like a mad scientist just trying to fucking figure puts this on a petri dish and it's like, let's see how this goes.
Whether it's a god or if it's just like a fucking for a program or something.
Yeah.
I do think it's really weird that we were able to create computers and we're finding out that our brains are exactly like the computers we built.
Right?
That fucks me up.
That's like, it's like a whole cycle. Then it's like, oh my god, what if we make our own little, like, another simulation?
We have The Sims. It's always a joke, but like, if we like really take what The Sims are, like we boot up a game and because of the coding, they actually think that they're alive and they're living their life, right? But like then we end the game and then what is it for them? They're just done. They're just turned off. Yeah, their world's gone.
Yeah.
So like is someone just playing like a really long round of Sims?
Just a really intricate Sims game.
Yeah.
I also I like the theory that we're all technically the same person.
That's an interesting one. There's actually a really good writing about something like that where to become like the best version of a human being you have to live everyone's lives.
Yeah, you have to like live multiple lives
at
least.
And that will give you like the perspective you really need to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So what goes into that thought process, like that we are all the same?
Mostly just what is it a fucking no, it's not logic. Is it logic? Oh my god. There's some sort of artist, this rap artist who made
Opposite?
What?
Logic's the
It's not Logic. It's that other dude who looks like Logic. Another tall, skinny white dude.
Tall, skinny white dude.
Yeah. He does a lot of like deep stuff. But he made an album where he addresses that in general, and I thought it was a really interesting topic where it's like technically goes into the whole like time doesn't exist, you know, which I mean time doesn't necessarily exist,
right? But
also in time being kind of like a wrinkle in time where like you can go wherever you want technically,
right?
And so we're all just living lives at different time, but at the same time, but it's also the same person.
Yeah. And
so once someone dies, you just start a new life.
Well, and there's also the interesting one where it's like, I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to give it kind of like what I remember. That Earth itself is just a firing neuron, and everything in the universe is just a firing neuron to a different, like an actual consciousness.
Yeah.
That is doing something else. And every time we die, we're sending that information to that consciousness so it can either process something or like understand something or whatever, and then we get sent back to do it all over again to try and like whatever that thing's goal is, like he's trying to figure it out. I've heard that theory, and I was like, because they've done studies where they think that maybe the universe is conscious.
Yeah. Which
doesn't, I mean, that's way past my pay grade.
Yeah.
I can't even comment on that. I don't know what that means.
But I mean, like, it'd be pretty cool.
If the universe is conscious, then that means that we're not, are we just, and then we're not individuals.
Yeah.
We're just like a piece of that individual, right?
Like the unit, well, I mean, I guess technically, in that sense, it would be correct, because we are technically a part of the universe, no matter what. We're all made of the same substance, which is the universe. And if the universe was conscious, well, this is the joke part, but I mean, like, if the universe was conscious, could I be like, hey, baby?
Well, what I'm saying, though, is, like, if the universe is conscious, then does that mean, I guess, then what are we?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess that flips right back around to higher power in a way.
Because it's like, the thing is like, because I'm conscious.
Yeah.
You're conscious.
Yeah.
We have different conscience.
Yeah,
we're completely different people.
Yeah, we're not the same consciousness.
Yeah, like, I'm not able to read your mind. You're not able to read mine. And, unless...
Dick skin.
Oh, no! So proud of him for losing his virginity.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him.
Shouts out, Dick
Tell
Skin.
him he needs to come tell a story.
Oh, he'll be like, he wants me on the podcast?
Oh, I'm so down. Aiden, listen to this. Come tell me your dick skin stories.
He'd love to hear it.
Did you leave it in? Is there dick skin in the girl?
We think that you should put it in a jar and pass it along.
Collect it. For those of you who are probably wondering, like, wow, that was getting really deep, and then to dick skin... Later episodes, fellas.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah. But what were we even talking about? Consciousness.
If you read my mind, I would just be saying dick skin.
Dick skin. But being a part of one singular conscious wouldn't necessarily make any sense.
What?
Because of that, unless if we would have to all be individually, like, the universe would have to be such, like, it would have to have such a high threshold to be able to have all of this information. And also, because I would assume it would be able to actually intake all the information and understand all of it that it's getting, just in general. Oh, not necessarily, like, understand, but at least, like...
There's a reason.
Yeah. Like, it would know.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. This is kind of weird that you said that, because, like, do we both have different consciousnesses because we're born with it? Or did we start off with the same consciousness and then we just gained it, what we think now, through perspectives? Because, you know, what's the first memory that you can think of? Because I always go back to mine. I don't remember what it was. I was at my grandpa's house and I was playing with one of those ring things, you know, where like the bottom ring's bigger and then goes smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
I just for some reason remember a day playing with that, and they're like, but I had to have been at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So like, what's that first chunk? Because we're conscious.
Yeah, because we're conscious.
We're not like. Do you think there could be like a weird like hive mind when we're all born?
And then what we think, like, you know, personalities and like different experiences and stuff would technically be us branching off.
Yeah.
Kind of like more closing that door of the hive mind. So it like starts out and then it kind of like
just because
slowly,
of where we're at.
Yeah.
Of course we're gonna be different.
Yeah.
But maybe at the root we're still all just
still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean
isn't too far-fetched.
Yeah, because the thing is like, there's a reason that all of our brains look very, very similar.
We're all humans.
Like, exactly. We all have the same functions and everything, and also have very similar thought processes on certain things at certain stages of life. And, I mean, there are some, like, you know, anomalies and whatnot.
Sure.
But even that is, like, not super far-fetched.
Well, and, like, I think we're still a lot more, because we're still such a fresh species that we know of, I still think that we have a lot of that animalistic part of us that we just try and like.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about. I'm not just talking about like, oh, we need to mate and have a baby.
Yeah.
But like, I think that there's a lot more individuals who are still not in a higher perspective level, and they're just still like kind of have that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it without coming out rude, but like still kind of have like a caveman way of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because they just like their brain maybe isn't just running as much.
It's just not. And I mean, like the thing is even I would say even myself, like I would say like no, definitely. Like I mean, caveman urges just in general would be like, you know, food, shelter, sex, sleep.
Yeah.
And that's like the basic food groups of life that are natural instincts that you're just like back caveman, whether it be, I don't know, like, you know, control just in general. And some people don't have that. Yeah. You know, but then no matter what, there are still urges of like, I need to go and eat food. I need to go and do this. Yeah. And that, would you say that since it technically is like the caveman mindset, would that be like the hive mind in total?
Maybe, because I mean, I think that there's just things that we do subconsciously that we just like have to. Yeah. We don't understand why we have to do it. It's we like have those urges that just happen. Mm-hmm. And there's days where I wake up and I'm like, fuck, I need to eat this certain thing. Mm-hmm. Or like, man, I really need to have sex. Or man, but like, why?
Yeah, like why do I have this
like urge? I've woken up before where I was like, okay, well, I'm what we call horny. Yeah. But like, why? I didn't have a dream.
How do you say horny?
Yeah, I didn't have a dream. I didn't have like, I wasn't like doing anything. I just woke up and I'm like, oh.
Sex.
Yeah. Me need woman. But like, why does that happen? Is that a body function? Because I've heard like there's studies where like if you don't do the deed, male or female, for a certain time, your body's like, hey,
you gotta need this.
Yeah, like we need to reproduce, or
which is really weird in the first place that it's like a need. I'd say because I mean personally, I haven't been in a relationship for few months now, and so I've definitely had a dry spell per se, and I at random points in time I'll just stop what I'm doing and be like,
what in the world?
Why am I horny right now?
Right.
And I'm like,
you're just like through your day.
Yeah, and it's just like, why is this here? Why? It's not like I'm gonna go out and call someone up and be like, want a bone? I mean, I probably could if I wanted, but the thing is like,
why does it happen?
Oh, yeah, why does it happen? I don't want to change my day just to do that.
Yeah.
You know? But I will change my day just to eat food because I actually need that to survive.
Same with water.
Yeah, and same with water. And like, but you get the same urge in a sense.
It is kind of similar. Like it's almost like a
Yeah, it like pops up. It's less frequent, but it pops up nonetheless.
And this is a crazy take, like, and I don't want to get any deeper on this, but like, I wonder if there's people who it's such a bad urge that that's why there's either addicts or people who make very awful things happen in the world.
I would say yeah.
Because I've wondered if that's a human nature thing or if that's just like a perspective. Like their life is just... That's a whole different psychological...
Yeah, it's a whole different psychological thing. And I would say a lot of it has to do with kind of like, you know, lack of learned control or just control in general.
Because discipline is definitely something you have to learn in all those aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
Yeah, why?
Like, why? Like,
why?
I feel like the dude from, what's his name, Giorgio from Ancient Aliens, where he's like, aliens, why?
Aliens, why?
You know, like, it's just weird that, like, because, like, those specific things can all lead to, like, not great lifestyle if you
like eating disorders.
Eating disorders, you know, having too much sex is a problem to you younger audience.
Being a sex addict is a thing.
Yeah, and it's not great.
No.
And, you know, it's just, you can, I mean, I guess technically you can drink too much water, but that would be, you'd have to like...
Yeah, you'd have to fucking...
Gallons.
Chug.
I challenge that all the time. We'll see. It's like, weird. Water is my favorite drink. I don't know why.
That is weird.
Everyone I tell that, they're like, you like water? And I'm like, that's like my second one I opened.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I downed one already and I'm on my second one.
Oh my god, I wish I could do that. I love water, don't get me wrong. I love hydration. Yeah. But I also love these bad boys.
Monster, sponsor us.
Oh, I can't show off the can until you do.
Yeah. Undisclosed green can with 3 marks.
3 marks.
Spooky creature.
Mark of the beast.
Mark of the beast.
Seen that video? Have you seen that video?
Oh, the lady.
Of the Christian lady?
Yeah.
It's like, you see this?
Mark of the Beast.
Mark of the Beast.
Yeah. 666. Mm-hmm. That lady's hilarious.
So funny.
She probably goes throughout her day and like, our kids playing Grand Theft Auto.
Are they playing Grand Theft Auto?
Violent.
Shooting games?
Not in my house.
No.
So let's shoot for 15 more minutes. That'll put us at 2 hours.
Okay.
And kind of close out the church talk. Because like, from other stories I've heard, yours is definitely a little bit more, I guess, like not as life-altering, but altering. Mm-hmm. Like, which is good. Okay, let me ask you this, and this is a more personal. Did you feel like once you got out of, like when you finally, like, I'm done. I'm not going anymore.
Yeah.
Did you change, like, things that you did immediately? Like, did you go and, like, watch a rated R movie or, like, go hang out with people who you wouldn't have hung out with or like any of that type of thing? Or was it just still kind of like, oh, just me, do my thing?
Honestly, no. It would just be like, it's just like, it's me. I never had urges to be different or to be like, well, now that I'm like free, I can do whatever I want. Because the thing is I always had the aspect of like, they can't control me, first of all. Mm-hmm. And if I don't believe that, why would I follow the rules? Because that's almost just, I feel like that would be offensive to them.
Right.
And that would be offensive to me as well. And I would not want to do a disservice to myself in the first place, keeping these standards of something I don't even believe in. Because that just didn't make sense to me. And so, I mean, I think
that
drink.
Right there, like, when did you have that thought? You're like 16, 17?
Yeah.
That thought right there does show that you were vastly more mature than you. Because that's thoughts that people would tell, like people leaving the church at like 30.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that definitely puts the perspective of adulting.
Call me an adult, why don't you?
Yeah. But it is interesting. So you did drink, like...
Yeah. So I mean, in high school, like junior year, I drank, I smoked. I worked at Wendy's. I hung out at a meth addict's house and ate moonshine berries while we shot rockets out into the night sky.
Damn, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it was fucking lit. She had a bunch of old CDs, and we helped her move a couch into her living room, which she was dumpster diving for, first of all. And she was like, y'all want some moonshine berries? And we're like, obviously, duh. And And she was like, all right, pick a song. I found this box of CDs. And I was like, I don't know what to pick. I closed my eyes and I picked one. Sublime album.
Oh, great call.
Yeah. So we were listening to Santeria. And that is like a vivid memory in my mind, is listening to Santeria from this like little boombox in this meth addict's house, eating moonshine berries with some people that I worked with at Wendy's, being like, I am practice Santeria, I got no crystal ball.
So was the meth head's house, like, did they work at Wendy's?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's how I knew her. And earlier, before I went to work, because the thing is I drove like a little truck, my boss called me and was like, I need you to pick up so-and-so. And I was like, weird. Why? And they're like, well, she doesn't have a house, but she says you have a truck, right? And I was like, yeah, she needs some help moving some stuff. And I was like,
that's weird.
Weird, all right. But she like had worked there for like years and years. Like she literally was walking distance from the Wendy's.
Oh, okay.
Sort of thing. And so I went and picked her up, and she was dumpster diving for all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, all right. So I help her put it in the trunk and like all that stuff, and then I drive her to Wendy's, and we work a shift together and everything. And then we got some of the other guys who were also working there who were off at the same time. They just came with us to help unload all the stuff into her house. Oh. And then we were just hanging out. Because the thing is during that time, I had friends from high school and stuff like that, but I mostly hung out with the people that I worked with.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's when I started, like, drinking a lot more and all that stuff. Like, really, really weird things. Like, we were like, let's have a kickback. We were going to have a kickback. One of them stole some of the food from Wendy's, like the frozen food from Wendy's, like the nuggets and the fries.
Yeah.
But didn't have anything to fry it with. Tried to figure it out. Didn't really work. We didn't have any like Pong equipment, so we just had Wendy's cups and then a crushed Wendy's cup to use as the ball.
Hell yeah.
And I won, by the way.
Crushed Wendy's
as the ball.
For a second I was like, okay, no, that's great.
Yeah. And then I won.
Got him.
I am the running champion. And then we just had a hookah as well, and that's it. That was our parties. Do you talk to any of them anymore? Not really. One of them, on occasion, I actually helped him with his resume and everything. We talk on occasion. The other one, we ended up like, hooking up and whatnot. And then I found out that he got a girl pregnant, and he ended up marrying her, and they have like a 3-year-old. Oh. Yeah. Who was also from the same Wendy's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, this shit wild.
That's always the meme, though.
Yeah.
The associate jobs in fast food, everyone sleeps together.
Everyone sleeps together. Yeah. There were 2 people who got pregnant there and then ended up marrying, and they're all still married. Wow. Yeah, and still work at Wendy's, or at least half of them still work at Wendy's.
I worked at Domino's for a long time.
Yeah, it happens.
It just happens.
It just happens, which is fucking wild.
Yeah.
But I definitely have been, because they definitely were, some of them were a sketchy group of people, because I remember hanging out with one of them. We were like walking around the streets, 2 a.m. And we all like lay down on the grass. He looks over and he's like, wanna rob that house over there?
Damn. Dreamy.
And I look at him and I go, you don't shut the fuck up right now. I'm going to have to leave.
Damn. That's great.
Yeah. I have a lot of stories from when I used to work there at Wendy's.
I love that. Go rob that house.
I want to go rob that house.
Just casual.
And I'm like, don't.
Like normal people would be like, oh, you want to get a drink? Are you hungry? Go rob that house.
I'm going to rob that house. And I'm like, well, right now? Yeah. Look at a sec.
I don't got security.
Yeah, you know.
I know how to get in the window.
Yeah. It looks like, because he's like, it looks like they're leaving right now. And I was like, oh my God. Oh,
they are leaving.
Yeah, they are. Wow. He was very serious about it. I was like,
he was just showing off.
Yeah, probably.
He's like,
trying to be cool.
We'll rob that house.
Want to go rob that house? And I was like, all right, you're 5'4", calm down.
Of all the things like in the world that I would think, like if I was like laying next to someone and just like trying to be cool, but
around the house.
Around the house.
What around the house?
Looks like they're fucking leaving.
What around the
Losers
house?
probably didn't even know we could rob their house. We smoke in their house and rob
them. Be like, oh, hold up there, sir.
Yeah, hey, take 2 steps back.
Here, take it easy, boy.
Wendy's. Which Wendy's was it?
The one just over there. Woods Cross one by.
Oh, nice.
Right there, yeah. So like the old Wendy's.
Yeah. The classic Wendy's.
The classic Wendy's. That's where I used to work.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Goddamn.
Well, let's close it out. We'll save Wendy's stories for a different episode.
For another time.
We mentioned Hollycast Mess Around every Monday, 7-ish Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah.
Butt plugging on TikTok.
Butt plugging on
That's
TikTok.
My favorite. Did you get banned though?
Okay, so I posted something and it got removed because it was got flagged for sexual nudity, but it was just because they couldn't handle my thick legs, my thicky legs. All right, and I almost got TikTok. I almost had 4,000 likes, 60 comments when they banned me.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and I was
You're on the way up.
And I was like, fuck you guys. I reposted, but it wasn't my time to shine, so I only got like 100. And I was like, screw you guys.
Damn.
I hate you.
And then you have Twitter.
Twitter is apostasy, so apost, and then ass, like ASS, and then Y.
And then Instagram?
Instagram is Kassidy, Kassidy, TBH. TBH.
So go follow her. This episode will be up tomorrow, or excuse me, Sunday. Saturday. And then tomorrow on Read Between the Wines, twitch.tv/Read Between the Wines, will be our monthly book club. We're just going to kick it.
Do New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, New Year's resolutions. Kind of, it might be the first time everyone will be there. I don't know
if Allie will.
Yeah.
She has a new fancy job.
Oh, she does?
She's working at a hotel right now.
Oh, fantastic. Glad
yeah, so I know that I don't know if she'll be able to, but we'll at least have Bella.
Yep.
So it'll be more than we usually have.
Yes.
For the past few times.
I'm glad that she was able to get out of the roadhouse.
Yes.
Because it didn't seem like a fun place to be. I've had friends that worked there. It was just like...
Not fun.
Yeah.
Not fun.
It's almost like a high school, I've heard.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, so I'm glad that she has a new job.
Yeah. But another episode will be live in like half hour. And then all of our other shows are on new channels. So Anime Allies tomorrow, 1 o'clock. True Crime Drunks tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Read Between the Wines tomorrow, 5:30. And then Daxcast at 9.
Woohoo!
So, full day of podcasting, all on their separate channels. So links will be down below, and then all of our links will be posted in this episode. And watch them on Mondays.
Woohoo! Thank you guys for watching.
Yep, and thank you for telling your story.
Yeah, thank you.
I know a lot of people will probably enjoy hearing more perspectives on it. So
I love giving perspectives. So
let me tell you my perspective.
Let me show you a little bit of this perspective, baby.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks. Bye.